Where do these tendencies of the mirror mind come from? Often from our heredity. And my parents were great planners. When my mother prepared a special dinner for many guests, the day before the dinner, she laid out all the serving dishes and utensils with labels on what would go on each one. So years ago, I learned it was quite useful to make a to-do list, especially if I have a lot to do in a short time. But realizing this might be the mirror mind, I recently found a better way. Check the list, but be guided by heaven's impulse. And that led to much greater flexibility, and actually I was able to accomplish more than if I were following the list. Another example is for the attunement workshop last month, I prepared a very detailed schedule. But about an hour in, maybe less than an hour into the actual program, I realized, wow, I have to change the schedule a lot to make space for what was really happening. So there are some parts of the mirror mind that include good habits. But if those habits block access to what heaven is bringing in the moment, we really should yield to that higher wisdom. As I hope you felt, I think it helps to look at these aspects of the mirror mind with humor. We can be alert to the tendencies of the mirror mind, but laugh at them. Certainly laugh at them in ourselves. And maybe we can develop enough trust to begin to do that even with each other. Not with accusing and blaming and criticizing, but maybe a light suggestion. Might that be coming from your mirror mind? Clearing these tendencies is really not such a personal matter. We can help one another a lot when we see things with compassion, not condemnation. So as I said at the beginning of this hour, we are in a time of massive purification. So much must surface and be purified. And sometimes you may feel disheartened, but it helps to realize the negative patterns were there before. You're just seeing them now, and they are surfacing to clear the way for the return of true man and true woman with true minds that are windows for heaven. No matter how disheartening things may look, we need to remember what's really happening through the purification. Life is creating pathways to transform our world, and it's seeking those who will devote themselves to that. It's actually the greatest opportunity humanity has had for thousands of years. I know I came to play a part in that. How about you? One of the things that stirred me to say is that these negative unhealed patterns probably went into us when we were very young, and probably we haven't become conscious of them until we're quite old. So it's actually not that difficult to have compassion for them when you see how it's been functioning underneath the person's awareness. Yeah, some of you spoke about you were conscious of the opportunity but didn't want to do it. But I think Unhwa Nim and Dayan Nim both spoke something like that. And Unhwa Nim spoke about a feeling of powerlessness. Yeah. So when you feel that powerlessness, it's actually alerting you to the fact that where you've been getting your power is not the true source. It's almost as if life is saying, game's up for that source, it's not a true source. So it may seem like, oh, this is so hard to make a change, but really it's shifting our focus in a different direction, away from the noise and the trouble, to the clarity of heaven, the window mind, the truth. So that's where it really helps to have examples of people living this. And I appreciate what Xian said about, well, just because you're part of AOL school doesn't mean suddenly you have a window mind and you don't even need to worry about mirror mind. But actually, if we all move with humility, loving the truth more than anything else, it's not that difficult to say, oh, I'm sorry, that what I said wasn't fully true, and learn. And I want to speak about a sense of like somebody, maybe, who was it that spoke about the pattern just repeating and repeating? That was Norenim. Yeah. Well, look at the world. I mean, really, look at it with your heart. When I see people, that are migrating for reasons really they didn't cause at all, and the hell they are forced to go through, isn't it obvious that there is a lot to purify for the world? And our lives, our experiences, our situations give us immediate contact points for all that needs to purify. It's not a matter of getting to the point where, oh, there's nothing that comes to me that needs to be purified. In the world as it is, I don't even think the youngest of you are going to live to a point where that isn't needed. So I want to pick up also on the power of the womb of love. Because if even one person sees the challenge that someone is going through with compassion, but also accurately helping the person see how to move out of it and through it and out of it, that is so rare, and it is gold. Even if you think, well, I'm not perfectly a window for heaven yet, do what you can. But being humble and ready to shift when you see, oh, well, that wasn't quite right. So, Momonium, your question about how do you stay grounded while you're attuned with heaven? Because being attuned to heaven doesn't mean that we're not paying attention to the earth, but it's letting that higher understanding come into the actual situation. When somebody attacks, usually we bounce back with defense. And if we just stop, say, okay, I'm not going to bounce back, that has tremendous reverberations for that person as well as a larger world. And actually what heaven brings does relate to exactly what's needed in the world. Yeah, so particularly as things intensify in the world, those who express from the window mind are going to be so important in the future that comes. So when things come up that show you, oh, that wasn't the window mind, take that as an opportunity to prepare yourself more fully to express from the window mind. Windows for heaven are going to be, they're already of supreme value, but even more so in the days ahead. And as I described with Martin, there is an ease in that experience because you see the power of heaven bringing truly needed transformation. And as much of a mess that you feel disheartened by that you see in the earth, that's just creating the pathways for the real power and light to come through. So let's be windows for heaven. Thank you all, and